Hey there, and welcome back to Crystal Talks. It's Katie and Cynthia here. Today, we are going to share with you about pendulums. Fun tool to use. You can use for your crystal pendulum. Lots of things to do with it. So today, we're going to tell you what are pendulums, how do they work, the do's and don'ts, reasons and ways to use them, and your ideal crystals for pendulums. So without further ado, what is a pendulum? Pendulum, scientifically, is a suspended weight on a pivot that swings freely. We, in today's video, are talking about crystal pendulums. So in this case, it's usually a stone or a crystal that hangs at the end of a string or a chain. And it is a spiritual tool, a tool for spiritual insight, for spiritual guidance. It can also be used to read energy. So for reading your chakras, things like that. It works by absorbing the energies in and around you and delivering advice guidance. They swing based on the energy that it absorbs, based on the energy around you. It will swing, it will swirl counterclockwise, clockwise. It will basically move in different directions and patterns to give you answers, to give you that guidance, to support reading of energy. So, really cool and powerful tool to have in your toolbox. Cynthia, can you kick us off with some do's and don'ts when using pendulum, our best practices?
Absolutely. I love using my pendulum, and it's a lot of fun. It's a great way to connect. You have to be sure, though, that it's all about the energy. So I think the number one do is after every time you use it, be sure and cleanse your pendulum, whichever way you feel is best for cleansing. I keep mine sitting on a piece of selenite. Um, and to cleanse it for a bit between uses. What else can we share with them?
So, a don't is you don't want to share your pendulum with others. It works with your energy, it's programmed with your energy, and it won't work properly with someone else's energy. So, you really want to, have your pendulum be your pendulum. And if someone is curious about pendulums, they have their own pendulum to use so that it works properly and gives you the answers you're looking for that are really your answers, or the answer specific to the person using them. So, really important not to share your pendulum.
And as you're using it, watch the movements. I mean, one of those little pendulum boards is interesting, but your pendulum will develop movements that's unique between you and your pendulum. So pay attention, is the yes and the no. I mean, those are the most obvious, but you can definitely get a maybe. You can get one where it'll swirl around and around and around, which on mine usually means I need to ask the question a different way because I've said something that they can't give me a clear answer. But you'll pay attention to those movements because they will be different for you than they will be for other people using a pendulum, and different with each pendulum. I've noticed that if I use two different pendulums, I sometimes get slightly different movements.
For sure. And that also depends on the stone that's there, the energy that's within the stone, right? It's almost
Absolutely.
like what you were saying when you sometimes it just spins and spins and spins and it doesn't give you that yes or no direction or like a maybe direction. It made me think of the magic 8 ball when you shake it and it comes up with ask me again later or not answering you now, like whatever that is.
Circuits
But
are
yes,
busy.
right, right. Definitely, like Cynthia said, learn those movements. Ask what's a yes, ask what's a no. Really learn what your pendulum's telling you. Another really big do for pendulums is to ground yourself before using them. Before working with the pendulum, before asking questions, really ground your own energy so that there's a really clear and grounded response that you receive with the use of your pendulum. Another big do is to use your dominant hand when working with the pendulum, because that will give you a more stable um, place for your pendulum to kind of be hanging from. It's a stronger hand, your dominant hand. You use it more frequently, and it gives you a more stable and grounded beginning for the pendulum. So it really moves with the energy.
And I have one final don't, and this is personal. Other people may disagree with me, but I don't think that children, at least under 12, probably under 15, should use a pendulum without guidance, supervision, whatever is the correct word. Pendulums are 99.9% of the time very friendly, but if they're not cleansed, if some negative energy happens to attach, they might get answers or vibrations that they don't understand, or they can take the answers to the questions too literally, and make decisions based on those that they wouldn't make if they were older and wiser and had someone working with them. Do you feel the same way, Katie?
Yeah, I think that's a great point. A really great point in all directions of, negative energy potentially attaching, but also younger children just taking the answers so literally and taking action from those answers so literally, where when we're a little bit older, we have a little bit more of the ability to be logical and think a little bit more clearly before we go and take action from things. So I think it's a really fabulous point. Another big do that kind of aligns with that don't is to set an intention every time you sit down to use that pendulum. Set a clear intention, and that what that intention does is not only it supports the direction of energy for your pendulum, so you get more clear, more concise, more um, specific guidance. It also can create a protective barrier, right? When you set a clear intention, it creates a protective barrier. Well, we're not going outside of these walls, right? This is what the intention is. This is where we're focusing the energy, and this is what we're looking to do today with the pendulum. And so it kind of really supports creating almost like a bubble around your work in that moment. So setting
I
an
think it
intention,
also helps your angels not have to guess or read your mind as to
yes,
what it is you're trying to work on that day. I mean, they sit back for
yes,
a while and watch your questions, and then they go, "Oh, that's what she's asking for answers for." And if you set that intention, it's out there. You just get her done.
absolutely. Same thing, when you're manifesting, the universe doesn't know what to do if you're throwing them all kinds of signals. You throw the universe a clear, concise intention, the universe makes it happen, right? So same with that. Like Cynthia was saying, give your angels, your guides that clear intention so they really know where to focus and go, really support you in that way. So all these are kind of best practices. It's really good to learn as you go with your pendulum too and be aware of what you are learning, what you're discovering, all those things. Some ways and reasons to use your pendulum are, we've talked about some of them already, but sometimes reading your chakras. Pendulum can be a great way to know if your chakra's open, if it's blocked, if it's, you know, too open, if it's closed, all those things. Um, and the reason to do that is because your chakra centers affect every part of your being. And so it's a really great tool to have to say, oh, hey, my heart chakra seems kind of blocked today, or it's a little bit sluggish today. What can I do to support my heart chakra in this moment? Maybe you need a little bit self love. Maybe you need some, air, some wind, some of that element in your life. Maybe I'm gonna grab those essential oils like a geranium or a ylang ylang or something like that to really support that heart center, a rose oil, something, to really kind of liven up that energy in the heart for you. So really great tool for reading your chakras. Another thing to ask questions, right? We've kind of been talking about that. Maybe you have a question or you have a decision to make in life, a choice to make, and you're just not really sure. You're not really clear on what you want to do. Pendulum can be a great tool to use to kind of say, you know, yes or no. Is this the right next step for me? Is this the best next action for me? Um, you can even, if you have one of those boards like Cynthia mentioned, that kind of has a yes, no, a maybe, right? It has like those options and wait for the pendulum to kind of move in that direction. Um, what do I want to eat tonight? Do I want to eat Chinese tonight? No. Do I want to go get pasta tonight? Oh, yes, I want pasta tonight. Like even little things like, I mean, that's like a little, trivial example, but you can use it to ask questions for almost anything to really connect to what am I calling for today? What does my body really need? What do I need spiritually, mentally, emotionally, all those things. Great, great tool to communication with your spirit guides, like we were talking about. Great tool to ask for that guidance, to look to connect, to really kind of communicate. We know that we have guides, we know that we have a spirit team, we know that we have angels on our side, but it's not always easy to communicate, right? I know that they throw us numbers and they throw us songs and they throw us different messages and spirit animals and all these things. But sometimes you have a specific thing you want to communicate with them, and that's not always easy. And so the pendulum is a great tool to have to really kind of have a conversation, a back and forth communication conversation that you don't kind of ask the question and wait for that response, right? Of the number, of an animal, of a song, of something, some kind of message guidance. So, really great tool to use for communication with your spirit guides, that spirit team, and your angels. So, Cynthia, can you share with us maybe some ideal crystals for pendulums and maybe like what those crystals would be good for, like really support based on our intentions?
Well, as always, I'm going to give you some to start with, but these are just places to start. Like we say with every other um, crystal that we talk about, follow your intention. These are great ones for getting to know how it all works. But at the end of the day, you may be called to use a pendulum that's a crystal that seems like it's kind of out there. I'm going to bet on the fact that there's a reason your intuition is guiding you toward that crystal. That being said, spiritual guidance, amethyst is right there at the top of the list. Amethyst is good for, for connection on questions of spiritual guidance in particular. Clear quartz is another one that's just a general all round. It's just a great stone.
Amplifier.
It's got a lot of it's an amplifier. It has a lot of healing power. It's called the Master Healer, as a matter of fact. But as far as this is concerned, it's a great one to strengthen that that connection, to get the answers that you're looking for. Lapis is the one I happen to keep near me. I really love lapis for that spiritual connection and communication. I feel like it really opens up the lines of what are we here to talk about today, and it works real well for me. Rose quartz, of course, that energy of love, all kinds of love. In your life, and in any kind of message that's received with love is going to be a powerful message. And then last but certainly not least, pyrite is one that you might suggest. It has a energy of strength, but it's also a stone of abundance. So particularly if that's something that you're looking for answers to, life paths, that type of questions, pyrite might be a good one for you to start with. And I'm also going to suggest that as you're using these, you can strengthen them with essential oils. That you can put them on your body. You can have them diffusing in the room while you're using it. I know that's a practice that excuse me, that I use quite frequently, and I love how the crystals and the oils work together. Do you have a pendulum on that list that or a type that's your favorite, Katie?
My pendulum is amethyst. I have always, since my beginning of discovering crystals, been attracted to amethyst. Amethyst is like my heart stone. It's like I just love amethyst so, so much. So that's my pendulum, amethyst. That's the one that I have. That's what I use when I do sessions. It's my, pendulum, right? It like connects to me so well. Which is another thing to say. Like, I kind of said when I asked you about ideal crystals, like what crystals might align with your intention and choosing that one, but it's also like what crystal really calls to you. What really connects to you, because this is your pendulum to work with your energy, to work with your spirit team, And, you know, picking a crystal that really aligns with you, that you're really drawn to, is really a good way to choose your pendulum as well. So, we would love to hear about your pendulum questions. If you've got any, let us know. Send us an email, find us on social media, Instagram, Facebook, Central Wellness, Body, Mind, Spirit, and or drop a comment below. And we would love to answer your questions about pendulums. Go out and explore it. Start exploring them. Start using them. Just get to know the pendulum and play around. Have a little fun. Set clear intentions. Make sure you cleanse it. Good practices, and enjoy it. So we'll see you next week with another Crystal Talks.